Alright, so Nefer is going to be coming very soon, so let's have a bit of a fun video ranking the potential weapons that Nefer will be able to use, because I know that different accounts will have different weapons. So hopefully this tier list will be able to help you decide which is going to be the weapons for you to go for your Nefer. And again, this tier list is based on my personal rankings, so whether or not you go with it is definitely going to be your choice. Nefer, as well as so many other amazing Not Cry character, is going to be coming soon, and I know that many of you are trying to get them. So if you're planning to swipe for pooling, then don't forget to check out Loot Bar. If you know me, I've been recommending you guys Loot Bar before, since you can always save almost a 25% on all of your top-ups. With over 100,000 orders and so many good reviews at this point, you can be sure that Loot Bar is trustworthy. Here you can see my order receipts of all of my top-ups that I have done. A 6.0 is the anniversary patch. Loot Bar is holding a special discount for the all-in-one bundle, and it's actually a pretty nice discount. Other than that, you will also be able to claim 1.5% coupon as well as 2.3% coupons for the rewards as well. So guys, be sure to check out Loot Bar through the link in my description, as it can be a great way for you to save your money, especially if you are topping up a large amount. Alright, first off, on the S tier, obviously her signature is going to go here. Now I kind of want to make like an S plus tier, because technically it should be all the way on the top, but you know, just to save space, it's definitely just going to go here. I don't think I have to discuss much because it's insanely good. Now the other weapons, on similar terms, is going to be Lauma's weapon. Obviously not going to be as good as her signature, because it's roughly around a 15% less of the damage already. However, if for some reason you tried pulling on the Lauma weapon banner, you end up with her weapon and you're not using it for Lauma, then you can still give it to Nefer, as it does give quite a lot of EM, and also it works really well on a Lunar Bloom teams. Other than that though, the Kagura Verity, it's been a while since we've got a character that can make almost the full use of the Kagura Verity here. Very decent weapons. If you do have this weapon on your account and you haven't been using it on any of the character. So those are generally like almost the S tier weapons that I'm putting in right now. Again, her signature is going to be quite a bit above the other two S tier weapon, but these are the ones that are very good right now. Now A tier weapons aren't too far behind these two, and still a very good options to go for your Nefer if you don't decide to go for her signature. Those are Thousand of Flowing Dreams, Starcaller's Watch, Sunny Morning Sleep In. Now these three are quite similar in performance because of the amount of EM that it provides. Now Sunny Morning Sleep In is probably going to be the ones that provides you the most EM, but overall if you have either of these three, you haven't been using it on any other character, most likely this is for Nahida, but Nefer can make use of this weapon also pretty well. The Eternal Flow, I don't really think you'll have a spare one, because most likely if you do, it's already been given to your Novelet, but if you do have a spare one, crazy good stat 6. You can make use a bit of the passive. Lost Prayer, one of a very good options, because you can potentially get this absolutely for free. So if you don't have any of the above options, one of the best 5-star for her to be using at the current point. And after that, it's going to be the R5 Black Marrow. Now obviously it has to be considered on R5 level, otherwise it's going to be falling behind quite a lot. Generally, in truth, for comparison between all the other 5-star, it's probably going to go all the way down to C tier, but with the fact that you can get this absolutely for free all the way to R5 and still does pretty decent for your Nefer, it deserves to be on A tier itself. Moving on to the B tier are more of a situational weapons. So of course, if you don't have any of the above options, I'm pretty sure most of the time you're just going to be going with the Black Marrow anyway, but these are for those who haven't got to Not Cry, for example, or you don't have an R5 Black Marrow, you've got more of an invested weapon series, then these are the ones that you can consider. So the Tula, Memory of Dust, Cash Flow, these are again very much situational. They do give very nice stat sticks, but you know, considering these are rather rarer limited weapons, it's really hard to come by. But for example, if you haven't been using your Wanderer, your Risley, for example, this is sitting on the shelf, you can potentially give it for her for good stat sticks. Though Cash Flow is more situational if you are in a Farina team, that's going to be very nice. Shield is required for the Memory of Dust. So do look into the passive usage whenever you are thinking about these weapons. Skyward Atlas, a very decent choice. Again, it is going to be a potentially free 5-star that you may get. Hopefully you do have the Lost Prayer, but if you don't, Skyward Atlas is still pretty decent. It sucks that it doesn't really provide you either crit rate or crit damage in the secondary stat, but the passive is okay, so we can still actually recommend this. Dawning Frost also a decent weapon for you to consider. A little bit hard to come by because it is in the limited weapon banner, so if you've been pulling for Nefer signature, you're most likely going to be having at least one of this, hopefully. But again, it does require to be at least an R5 level to be, you know, somewhat competitive toward the A tier. So if you do have the A tier already, you don't really have to care too much about this. The Ether Light, a very nice weapon, worth it for us to be considering. However, it is an event weapon, so depending on whether or not you have access to it, you know, it might not be a consideration on your account. But if you do and you have an R5, it is pretty decent energy regen, giving to Nefer that she can do more bursts, and then the 200 EM and R5 level is pretty solid in my opinion. Some other 4-star options like the Flowing Purity, Sack Jade, Solar Pearl, Wandering Even Star. I feel that these two are the bypass weapons, so depending on your account, we might not have access to it. Wandering Even Star, a decent option, but it is again a limited, so it's kind of hard for us to come by. Flowing Purity, interestingly, do decently well on Nefer. A little bit hard to use here and there. And well, I mean, unless you already have an R5 of this sitting around and you're not using it, most of the time we're still not going to be considering this anyway. With this, yeah, very nice. Also, nice crit damage increase for Nefer. Again, the passive is a little bit very much situational, but still one of the better 4-star consideration that we can look into if you don't really have any of the above options that we've been discussing. Surfer, Vivid Notions, nice stat sticks though. Almost really hard to use passive, so you can still consider it, but most of the time I think it's just preferred to just have this on Volani and Varesa if you do have them. And then Sack Fragment is still going to be pretty decent with all the EM that it can potentially provide to Nefer. Now C and D tiers are very much similar, but C tier again is slightly better than a D tier. Most of these options are just going to be on very much freeze play. You're earlier into the game and you don't have any of the above options, you miss out on some of the event, for example. And poof, here are going to be a bit of a placement on the C and D tier. Now, Doodle Coattail, kind of decent, but a very long time event weapon ago. Oh man, when are we gonna have the potential to buy back some of the event weapon that we've missed? Mappa Mare though, some of you may be questioning, it does have a good EM stat stick, but again, we've got this, the Black Mirror Lantern. Come on, you're probably not gonna be giving her unless you're earlier into the game. You're still in Mondstadt. If you haven't got access to this, and yeah, Mappa Mare is gonna be fine. Royal Grimoire, even though it does have a bit of a crit increase, that's nice, but you know, the reset on passive really bad. Blackcliff Agate, yeah, kind of nice crit damage increase, but you've got to spend the Star Layer to buy it. Usually I don't recommend it. It's probably very hard to find an account that's got this nowadays. We've still got this layer around. I think it's kind of fine to consider early into the game, but I think you guys should be considering these options, you know, compared to all the other ones that we've mentioned on the above tier. And then any of the options that I haven't actually mentioned or put onto the tier list, basically just don't consider. So guys, I think that is my current ranking of some of the weapon options that Nefer can put to use depending on your account. If you have any question, leave it down in the comment sections, and I or some other lovely Genshin player will get to you there. Now, if you're still on the fence of which character to be pulling for in patch Luna 2nd, I have a very in-depth video going through that, or if you'd like to watch more videos on Nefer, and I've got you covered as well. Again guys, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to not miss out on my future Genshin videos. With that, I wish you a super day, and I'll catch you on my next video.